All right, local swell trackers, Friday the 11th, and here's a look at the jet stream. We have got a split jet stream right here to our north, and this branch pointing down our way is allowing for a fetch. Brought us this north-northwest swell with some reinforcement on Saturday, and rolling these puppies out, you can see they will continue to drift and dissipate off to our east, and the jet is very weak. Goes from about 160 knots, and this is down to like 110. It's going to be for Sunday, so it definitely weakens. But the good news is it strengthens up again, and we have these series of dips. These dips encourage counterclockwise flow at the surface, low pressures, which allow those seas to develop into swells and head our way. And that's what happens. So anytime you see one of these, that's good news. So these are the jet stream wind flows, large upper scale wind flows around the planet, about 30,000 feet up. So mid next week, you can see a little bit of a weakness over here off Japan, continuing on with this dip. Not bringing us much. By next Thursday, it's even weaker, but we are continuing to see some waves in the long range GFS or global forecast systems telling us that the North Shore is not going to be done with us this month. All right, we're going to take a look at the surface winds. Thank you, Mark at Storm Surf, for the models. And here we are down here, about 20 north, 160 west, and we've got this fetch right here going back last Friday. This is the guy that brought us up to, 6 to 10 feet last Tuesday. This guy over here, this is the first portion of that swell we saw today, and then there's a second portion with this low here that kind of merges with that circulation up there in the Bering Sea up here, and allows another fetch to form and bring us up for Saturday. And then we got a little something off the Kuril Islands here, and that's today, Friday. That will barely make it here. We're thinking maybe Monday with some 2 to 3 foot waves out of that, just 11-second periods because the winds are rather light. Okay, so now these are going to be the swells caused by those surface winds we were looking at. And let it roll out for that north swell. That was the most significant feature right there. There were some 25-foot seas in that guy. And then this one meanders here as it tracks zonally, or west to east. And it did pretty good here, kind of like hugging the central Aleutians there this last Tuesday. Continuing on further, you can see that dissipates. Here comes that second one I was pointing to. And sometimes these don't really match up. This one matches up with the surface winds, the swell here. And that one ends up in the Gulf. And we get a little bit of reinforcement here. I wanted to show you the quick scat actual measurements of the winds. Here we are right about here. Go down here, it's about, 160, about 20 north. And look at this batch of winds right here. Now, the models are not showing what I think I'm seeing here. Let me drill in. Here we see some nice 35 to 45 knot winds, not very far away from us. The models were not showing winds like this. Tomorrow, 7 a.m. on 596 Surf and right here at Surf News Network, we'll see how the computer models bear out to actual data that we're getting from satellites. Okay, so back to the model. So see this guy here? It looks weaker than what the satellites are showing. But let's move on. Starting it in, you can see that fades. The weak Kuril Islands, I always thought it was Kuril, I guess it's Kuril, flows out to the east and is super, super weak. We may again see the 14th, the North Shore will wake up, at least get head high. It's fairly distant too, and stays fairly distant, but it does track our way crossing the dateline here on Tuesday the 15th. So the North Shore will be rideable, and who knows, there could be some slightly overhead waves through Tuesday. Sure looks pretty quiet after that, but then again we get lucky. The storm here is not the fetch. It doesn't last long, but a decent storm straight up to our north. So far, models are projecting this one to be about 4 feet 11 seconds on the 19th. We'll see. That would equate to about 2 to 4 foot surf from the north. And again, that would be Saturday the 19th. So there you go again. The North Shore. Actually, if you include yesterday, Thursday, and Friday's north-northwest swell, and then adding in Saturdays, we have 6 more events here this month. 6 in May for the North Shore. Okay, let's take a look at the swell periods generated by these systems we were just looking at. So here comes the reinforcement for Saturday right here. This is the guy that just passed us by from Thursday through today. This is showing just minor 11, 12 seconds. You are definitely going to be distracted by the swell periods coming up here. 20 to 25 second periods coming by a bunch of south swells. We actually have 5 separate swell events from the South Pack through the end of this month, and I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, right now I'm trying to stay focused. Take a look, man. We're going to be rocking and rolling here starting on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's our first in a series of swell. All right, Kate, rolling these things out. Here was that Orcuro Island low making its way over to us for Monday, and we have the series of south swells coming up out of the deep. Take a look. Bam. One of these, I think it's going to be the one on the 19th, 20th. I think we have a chance of getting some 4, hopefully 5-foot waves, but we'll wait and see. It's still early days. Okay, let's get on down to the land down under, and here we go. The jet is split into 2 branches. A lot of blues out here representing the high pressure area. This flow here is broad enough. This area of flow, these large upper air currents that I was telling you about, it does get something flowing right down to the surface. And so it's really good news. I will show you that here in a second as we get to the surface winds. But take a look at the energy on some of these, man. I mean, we got some nice 170 knot winds. That energy up in the upper atmosphere does translate down, impart its energy down to the surfaces, which is where we need those winds. It's winds where we get our waves, far more than, say, the moon or the pull of the sun. So here you go. This is Monday the 14th. We're going to definitely see some generation from that. We do have a storm that gets going here, but it's mostly out of our swell window. Quiets down here in the future, about 7 days out, 160 hours. Just the northern branch looks like here. A lot of dipping and flowing like a snake. Okay, so let's take a look at the surface winds assisted by the jet stream. Here's that flow I was just showing you here again for today. There's one system here, and that's for next Friday, Saturday's swell. And that one's expected to get, oh man, that's going to be bringing us up some waves. This guy is not the beast, though. Continuing on the animations, we get this swell here I was pointing to underneath Tahiti. It'll send a lot of its energy away from us. Here on Monday the 14th, we can see something deep in the Tasman Sea. Well, that may make its way up to us with some 20-second forerunners on Wednesday the 23rd. It has to make its way up through Fiji and the cheese grater. It makes it difficult. Some of this energy does try to get out off the east coast of New Zealand, but take a look at that. That's a broad, big storm. A lot of these are zonal, but they're so big and broad that we're going to be seeing some waves. This is going to be one of the better swell creators right here. Okay, so let me run through this again. Little hindcasting going back last Sunday, May 6th. This fetch right here is going to be bringing us up some 16-second south-southeast swell, filling in for Sunday the 13th, but it'll last into the 14th in the 1 to 3 foot range, just about a foot of swell, about 15 seconds. Then we get this portion of this swell here, not pointing up as much as we would like it, but there's still enough in this particular storm to make its way up to us for some, maybe 1 foot, 15 seconds. But the more serious one comes right here. And this would be Monday, Tuesday the 8th. And this is the one that's going to be bringing us up with some 2 foot swell, 18 seconds on the 15th. When you get 18 to 20 second periods, it can magnify that deep water by a factor of 4 without much problem. But not everywhere. But there are select deep water spots that really know how to refract. And this is the source right here, going back last Tuesday the 8th. Doesn't have the best flow towards the equator, but it's definitely powerful enough to bring us some solid 2 to 4, maybe 5, for Tuesday the 15th into the 16th. Then the next fetch, very, very broad and pointed pretty decently our way, Friday the 11th, so you'd add 7 days. So the next south-southwest swell will be filling in on the 18th through the 19th, moving these forward. So let's take a look at these beasts way down there by the Ross Ice Shelf. If this beast was moving up with a meridional flow or equatorial bound, we'd just be going off. But anyway, that's a pretty good flow right there. It's east-northeast. There's some 35 to 38 foot seas in this guy, and this is Saturday the 12th. So again, you tack on, 7 days or so. It's way, way down there, but powerful. The winds are severe gales and higher pockets. This is another storm that should bring us 2 feet of 18 seconds on the 19th Saturday, peaking at about 2.5 feet, 16 seconds of swell Sunday, and then beginning to fade just very slowly into Monday the 21st and 22nd. So this will probably be one of the more significant storms that we see. This guy right here is a significant storm, but it's passing most of its energy out of our swell window We bring this back right here. Those are 50-foot seas in this guy over here. So this is going to be whipping up some long period heavy waves at Fiji and all the South Pac Islands over there. For us, we'll see some 1 foot swell 22 seconds around the 23rd, which is a Wednesday. We could see some solid 3 foot. We're likely to see some solid 3, maybe 4 foot southwest swell the last week of the month. Okay, let's take a look at the swell periods generated by some of those we were just looking at. I know it's hard to keep track of because there's so many of them, but we've got this gray area here is 23, 24 seconds. It's marching up our way now. This is for Monday, the 14th into the 15th. Okay, we're just above. This is 10 degrees north. We're at 20, just basically hitting us as it leaves your view. And here comes the next swell right there. And here comes more big stuff from the Tasman Sea as well as to the east of New Zealand. Again, that one, you can mark your calendars for an increase Wednesday the 23rd, lasting through the 26th. Okay, from those waves to some surface charts and some weather. Here comes the high pressure moving into the area, allowing our trades to get fresh again. Starting tomorrow, Saturday, they'll have a northeast tilt. This high pressure is moving away. We have this trough over the islands that has brought more clouds and some haze. Cut those trades a little bit. There was a slight trade wind flow. There comes that low off of the Kurils, that weak event. And these are current. Some of these tropical storms that have been starting to form down there. Well, we have our hurricane season that starts June 1st. So these are going to start to show up a little bit more. And we'll keep you dialed in on our big picture and, of course, right here. So that's the current scenario down at the surface with these hand-drawn charts. And now we'll bounce all the way up to the water vapor loops. These are about 20,000 feet up. Some of the moisture being pulled up from the southwest, but the brown areas are the drier sinking air masses. So we're starting to look more stable on Oahu and Kauai. These are thunderstorms down in the intertropical convergence zone when the trades from the north meet the trades from the South Pac. So here's a global view, full disk. Here we are way over here. The land down under, the North Pac up here, fairly cloudy here for now, but things should start to look better tomorrow, Saturday, for the weekend. Drilling down a little bit further. Highs, I'll tell you, they're going to be about upper 70s to mid 80s. The lows in the upper 60s for the next 7 days. Trade winds are sticking around from the northeast for a few days in the fresh pace zone, but they are going to be weakening. So again, you see some of this cloudiness here. It's all due to that weak surface trough over the islands. It is moving west and dissipating overnight. And that high far northwest is going to pass north of the islands Sunday, clearing out the fog overnight for the smaller islands and allowing those trade winds to return for the weekend and reaching the breezy paces statewide by Sunday. And the high will move away early next week, but a surface ridge will remain north next week, maintaining the local breezes. But we are expecting a potential drop in the trades here, maybe Wednesday or Thursday. We'll wait and see. You can see those upper regions being pulled up from the southwest and the lower level clouds moving fairly east-northeast. So we're getting trade winds back, a series of north-northwest swells and plenty south swells. Currently no marine warnings, but small craft advisories to go up. The reflective loops showing some light sprinkles here over the windward Mauka, and some of them are spilling over actually because of the convection that we saw today. The clouds really built up. Okay, I'm going to show you a new model here. It's kind of cool. The GFS Global Forecast System, which goes out 14 days. This is Tropical Tidbits, if you want to check it out. Okay, so I set these up a few days ago, last Tuesday. I'm going to move these forward. Here was the low pressure that brought us that big swell Tuesday to 10 feet. Here's that one up by the Central Aleutians, adding our Thursday, Friday, and Saturday swell from the north-northwest. And starting these in, you can see those pretty much fetch tries to get fairly close to us by today. That little guy off of here, off of the Kurils, the high pressure, as I said, moving in, this one moving out. Again, here we are down here. It looks like these are, fairly big storms, but they're not. But it's just a cool, colorful way of showing you how the lows and the highs are all moving into the picture over time. The high seems like May 19th, Saturday. The high pressure is very established here to our center to our northeast. There's a new low in the picture, and if we continue on the animations, you can see high pressures dominate. And then, lastly, Friday, May 25th, 2 weeks out. Now, this is sketchy. Do not hold any confidence. Just get a heads up. This low pressure here Here we are down here. That looks like a swell to me. Whenever you have the high pressure adjacent to it, increases, it tightens up those isobars and can actually help that fetch a lot. And let's hope this model fantasy plays out. And one last model to goof around with, windy.com. You can see the upstream trade winds starting to do better. There's the fetch for the north-northwest swells for the last few days. The small one for Monday. And then let's go ahead and scroll down and take a look at the energy down under. Here's New Zealand right here. Boy, they are coming. They're marching from the Indian Ocean out through the Taz, under the Taz, and out to the east here. And we are going to be having a lot of fun along our south shores for about 2 weeks straight here is my guess. And that's the local swell tracker. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And I'll be back next weekend. Aloha.